Do you have a favorite TV game show? Think for a moment what your favorite game show on television is. In fact, turn to the person beside you and tell them, what is your favorite game show on TV? Turn to the person on the other side of you and say, tell them, what do you think your favorite game show is? Don't you just love some of the game shows we have on television? My favorite, can you guess what my favorite is?
Price is Right.
Jeopardy. Jeopardy. But since we're talking about The Price is Right, think about that big wheel on The Price is Right before. Have you seen that? The Price is Right, for those of us old enough to remember Bob Barker. My oldest brother's first words, the first words out of his mouth as a baby were what? You guessed it. Bob Barker. I couldn't make that up. I don't know where my mother had him seated every day. The first words out of his mouth was Bob Barker. And on The Price is Right, there's the big wheel that you spin around. And it's a game of chance and you have no idea where it's going to stop. Our ancient ancestors believed that life was like a big wheel with its ups and its downs, amen? And the challenge is we just never know where we're going to be at any moment on any given day, amen? And so we should thank God for those moments when we're feeling at the top. Thank God for those moments, amen? Because there are going to be other moments when we're not feeling so high. Moments when we land on a nickel. Or let's use another analogy. Have you seen The Wheel of Fortune? Because the name of that game show, The Wheel of Fortune, comes from the ancient Romans. They had their mythology, and one of their gods was Fortuna, fortune. Fortuna was a blind goddess, a blind woman, who turned a wheel. And where it stopped, no one knew. Have you seen The Wheel of Fortune? When you spin the wheel on The Wheel of Fortune, it spins around and it spins around, and it could land on $10,000, or it could land on bankrupt. The ancients thought that that's how life is. It's like a wheel and you just never know where it's going to stop. In fact, in some of our ancient medieval manuscripts, we have pictures of the king at the top of the wheel. Oh, how nice to be at the top of the wheel. And the poor people at the bottom of the wheel, with all sorts of other persons in between. But all it takes is for fortune to turn the crank, and what happens? Things happen. Like mother, like son. Have you heard stories of Jesus' mother, Mary? Jesus' mother, Mary, when she was pregnant, she went to visit her cousin Elizabeth, and she sang a song. We know it as the Magnificat. And in this song, this poem called the Magnificat, Mary talks about how it is that the world is about to turn. Watch out. Because if you are proud and well-fed and rich, be careful when the world turns. What's going to happen? You're going to end up being poor and hungry and cast out. Like mother, like son. In today's gospel, Jesus tells us, if you want to be first, what were the disciples fighting about in today's gospel? Who was the greatest? I am better than you are. Nuh-uh. I'm going to sit on Jesus' right. Nuh-uh. Have you heard the story before about the crabs in a bucket? When you put crabs in the bucket, do you even have to put a lid on the bucket? No. Why? Because those crabs, when a crab tries to get on top of the other crabs are going to pull it down. Be honest now. In what ways have you tried to pull others down? Or to put others down so that you could be, or appear to be, the greatest? Or better than that. Isn't it a human thing? It's a human tendency, I suspect, for us to raise ourselves up over others. Careful. Like mother, like son, Jesus knew that when you turn the crank, those who are on top are going to end up in a different place. So in today's gospel, Jesus tells his friends, don't go trying to be the greatest. Try to be down here. Because when you're down here, I got news for you. It only goes up. Amen? So thank God for those moments, those dark, difficult moments in life when we're down here, because from there, it can only go up. Jesus says, if you want to be the greatest, start here. Be the servant of everyone else. In fact, he took a young child and placed her in their midst and said, if you want to be great, it's time for you to start lifting up others. In the same way that we pick up our children, that's what we need to be doing to one another. Amen? This week, the church celebrates St. Vincent de Paul. Have you heard of St. Vincent de Paul? What is St. Vincent de Paul, the patron saint of? St. Vincent de Paul is the patron saint of works of charity. What do we do when we do a work of charity? It's helping to lift others up. It's thinking about their needs. What do you need? Do you need food? Do you need a place to stay? Do you need something to drink? Do you need someone to visit you? I'll talk to you for a moment. Thinking about what others need and seeking to serve them. Brothers and sisters, how does that sound for homework for this week? For us to think about where we find ourselves in life and always be thinking about those who may not be as fortunate as ourselves and how it is that we might be able to help lift them up a little. So that in this game of life, so that in this wheel of fortune, instead of finding themselves at the bottom, we might have some concern for helping to lift them up. In today's first reading, we hear of people trying to pull others down. And maybe we've tried to pull others down in the past too, but instead of pulling others down, this week, let's be about lifting others